Hi everyone, this is Tomy. Thank you for always watching my videos. Today I'd like to introduce a key piece of advice for therapists and trainers that can be used during treatments. Today's topic is about why arms don't rotate to the back when in a prone position, and I'll be explaining the reasons behind this. If you've encountered this issue during your regular treatments, please make sure to watch this video till the end. Let's get started. Today's topic of rotating the arm to the back is basically a movement used when approaching the shoulder blade area. The position of rotating the arm to the back means rotating the humerus forward and moving the shoulder blade outward. As a result, the shoulder blade stands up, creating a gap between the ribs and the shoulder blade, making it easier to approach the area around the shoulder blade. When you help the client take this position, the angle of the shoulder blade changes, making it easier for therapists to target the area around it. Consequently, the shoulder blade separates more from the rib cage, which can improve the effectiveness of the treatment. However, depending on the client's physical condition, they might not be able to take this position easily. I'd like to consider the reasons behind this difficulty. First, let's look at the principles of this movement. As I mentioned earlier, the position of rotating the arm to the back is basically composed of two movements. First, when you rotate your arm behind your back, the humerus, upper arm bone, rotates forward. This is known as internal rotation of the shoulder joint or medial rotation. As the humerus rotates inward and forward, it causes the arm joint to rotate backward. The scapula shoulder blade also contributes to this movement. When the humerus rotates forward, the scapula moves outward along with it. This movement of the scapula away from the spine is called scapular abduction. To achieve this posture correctly, you need a smooth combination of the internal rotation of the humerus and the abduction of the scapula. If you're having trouble with this movement, focus on these two key points. Check if you're able to internally rotate your shoulder joint and if your scapula is abducting properly. Another important point is that the scapula abducts more easily when it's in a lower position. In other words, when the scapula is firmly positioned lower on the back, it can move outward more easily. If your shoulders are hunched up with the scapula raised, it becomes much harder to abduct the scapula. During the technique, pay attention to whether you can internally rotate your shoulder and if your scapula is in a lowered, stable position. Additionally, it's crucial to be aware of how the shoulder blade is moving outward and to keep these key points in mind. Let's also consider the approach for creating each of these movements. The first thing we need to think about is whether the shoulder blade is able to properly rotate outward. To achieve this outward rotation of the shoulder blade, it's essential that the inner muscles have sufficient freedom of movement. Specifically, we're talking about the muscles that connect the spine to the shoulder blade, such as the rhomboids and the middle fibers of the trapezius. If these muscles aren't relaxed enough, the shoulder blade won't be able to move outward. Therefore, the first thing we need to check is whether the muscles at the back of the neck, around the shoulders, and in the middle of the back are properly relaxed. The first approach focuses on the neck area, the trapezius muscles, and the muscles in the middle of the back. It's essential to properly relax these areas. When approaching, kneading and loosening movements are crucial. These movements promote blood circulation and soften the muscles, which is obviously important. However, just elastically kneading and loosening the muscles won't change the overall length of the muscle. If the overall muscle length doesn't change, it won't affect the range of motion. When approaching, first soften the muscles elastically by pressing and kneading. Once the muscles are elastically softened, you need to separate the base and distal parts to ensure the overall length of the muscle fibers. After pressing and kneading, it's important to properly stretch, which will increase the range of motion. As the range of motion increases, the shoulder blade can move smoothly in an outward direction, making it easier to rotate the arm towards the back. The first approach to consider involves the back of the neck and the shoulders. Additionally, it's important to firmly press, knead, and then stretch the back area. Next, the internal rotation of the shoulder joint is crucial. Even if the shoulder blade moves smoothly outward, if the shoulder joint itself can't perform smooth internal rotation, the arm won't be able to rotate towards the back. So, to create a clean extension of the shoulder joint, it's important to focus on emphasizing the shoulder's extension movement. Simply pushing or kneading isn't enough to emphasize the shoulder's extension movement. Pressing or rubbing around the joint area doesn't necessarily lead to improving the range of motion. Basically, you need to stretch in the direction of extension while keeping the shoulder joint straight. Be aware of keeping the shoulder blade as still as possible while bending the elbow to 90 degrees and applying a forward rotational motion. By applying a proper stretch to the shoulder joint's extension, it becomes easier to initiate movement in that direction. After following these approaches, if you try the movement again, you'll likely find it smoother than your initial attempt. In summary, it's crucial to create a situation where the shoulder joint rotates cleanly in the extension direction after stabilizing and rotating the shoulder blade. The approach involves first loosening the area around the neck, shoulders, and shoulder blades. When loosening, it's important to use a combination of pushing, kneading, and stretching techniques. By using these techniques of pushing, kneading, and stretching, you can expand your range of motion. After completing these approaches, apply a stretch to the shoulder joint itself in the extension direction. Once you've thoroughly stretched in the extension direction, try to recreate the position again. Of course, some people might find it difficult to achieve this posture due to their skeletal structure. It's not necessary to force yourself into a painful position. However, placing your arm behind your back helps to raise the shoulder blade, making the approach around the shoulder blade more effective. I've included a video demonstrating the practical techniques in the summary section, so please check it out if you're interested. That concludes today's video. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.